Okay, this is the last empty session of this EMNLP conference, and we have 5 short papers. The first one is about decoding algorithm presented by Xin.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Oh, okay. So, hi everyone. Today I'm going to present our work, a tree-based decoder for neural machine translation. Tree structures are usually used by linguists to capture some inherent structure of language. And our hypothesis is that by incorporating tree structures into an empty decoder, it can help generalization for low-resource data. For example, these 2 sentences shown here, they have different word order. They have different words and different meanings, but their structures are the same. So we think that by incorporating this structure, then an empty decoder might be able to capture these frequently occurring structures and use these to help generating the translation sentences. There are some previous works on incorporating target syntax into an empty decoder, but they often have some problems, and the problems fall into 2 categories. So the first category of syntactic decoder still use a standard sequence decoder. They either use a target augmented with syntactic tags or a linear sparse tree, or they use a standard decoder on a sentence and together with a syntactic objective. This kind of decoder, although it's simple, it often fails to capture some topology of the trees, and so their utilization of tree structures is very limited. And the second type of tree decoders, they try to design a specific structure for specific decoding scheme for the syntactic information. For example, Wu et al. Proposed a syntactic code decoder for dependency tree, but the problem with their model is that it's only designed for dependency tree, and we kind of want a flexible framework that we can test and compare different syntactic structures. So that's why we propose TreeDeck. We have 2 RNN for a natural integration of tree topology into decoding. One raw RNN that is responsible for generating trees only, and a word RNN that's responsible for generating words. So the TreeDeck works like this. While there's open non-terminal still on the stack, the raw RNN keeps generating rows, and as soon as we reach a pre-terminal, I switch to word RNN, and the word RNN starts to generate words that populates the given pre-terminal. And our TreeDeck can flexibly work with any type of tree structures, and we can easily compare different tree topologies. And next, I will give an example of a tree decoder decoding process. So we want to translate the Japanese sentence into the English, the cat eats fish. And the encoder side is still a standard sequence-to-sequence encoder, and it encodes the source sentence into the encoder hidden states. And at the first time step of the decoder, the encoder will initialize the states for both raw RNN and word RNN. And the raw RNN will populate the first row, root goes to S. And next step, raw RNN will go on populate the pre-terminal, the terminal, open non-terminal S. So next step, it will goes to S goes to NP, VP, and punctuation. TreeDeck works in a top-down, left-to-right order. So next step, it will go to the leftmost open non-terminal, which is NP. And at this time step, raw RNN predicts the raw NP goes to pre-terminal. And note at this time step, it means that next we will switch to word RNN. So we also keep a copy of the current raw RNN so that it can be a parent state that we can use for generating words. So next time step, word RNN began to predict the word the, and it goes on predicting word cat. And next it goes on predicting EOP, which means that it finished predicting this pre-terminal. Now, so next time step, we will switch back to raw RNN and go on populating the pre-terminal VP. And now the raw RNN predicts VP goes to pre and NP. So in this way, we will keep going to the pre-terminal and then NP and punctuation. And finally, we will build up the whole tree when the word RNN finish predicting the last pre-terminal. So our decoding process can easily work with a lot of different types of trees. For syntactic trees, we tested with a constituency parse tree. We can also use a dependency tree by using a simple deterministic algorithm that converts the dependency structure into a constituency structure. Given the flexibility of TreeDeck, we next ask a question. Does the label information in the constituency parse tree help? So we can easily just replace all the syntactic tags in the constituency tree by a null tag. And we can go a step further and even ask the question, does syntactic information in the tree actually help? And to test this, we use two types of balanced binary trees that build with a simple algorithm, and it doesn't have any linguistic information. So on the left, we have a top-down balanced binary tree, and right is bottom-up. We can actually combine those two types of trees in our training. So for experiments, we used a very small-sized Oromo English dataset and two medium-sized German English, Japanese English dataset. And for the baseline, we compared with the standard sequence-to-sequence with attention and two other tree-based decoder. One used CCG interleaving, and the other used linearized parse tree. So they are still sequence decoders. On top of that, we also compare with interleaved target, but it's similar to CCG interleaving, but we replace all the syntactic tags with a null tag in order to compare with our syntax ablated experiments with TreeDeck. So here are some results for the different TreeDeck with different parse trees and non-synthetic trees. We can see first, it's a little bit surprising that the syntactic tags don't actually have a large effect on the constituency trees. The numbers are mostly comparable. And also, more surprisingly, the balanced binary trees without any linguistic information actually outperforms the constituency tree on two of the three data sets. And on the German English, the gain is not significant, but we also have some better performance. And finally, we are able to compare dependency and constituency tree, and we found that constituency trees perform better. And next, we compare with other tree-based methods, and we found that TreeDeck binary still outperforms other alternatives. And also, the tree-based methods in general outperform the sequence-to-sequence baseline. So why does TreeDeck outperform the sequence decoders? Here we bucket the target sentence, the test sentence by their length, and we found that as the sentence length increase, the performance for TreeDeck increase, while the performance for another tree-based method, a sequence decoder, decrease. So we hypothesize that our model, TreeDeck, can better utilize the tree topology to pass information over long distance. But it's still quite surprising that the syntactic information actually didn't help that much. So here we give explain one possible reasons for why the syntactic information is hard to use. Here we plot a histogram of the length difference between our model prediction and also the gold standard reference. In ideal case, the difference should concentrate at 0. That means all the translations are exactly the same with the reference. And we can see that TreeDeck binary is more concentrated at 0 than TreeDeck constituency. So this means that binary trees are better at modeling target length, while when using syntax, our model kind of struggles at modeling the correct target length. So one thing we observed was that given the same target, when the target sentence have similar lengths, their syntactic structures can be very different, and so that the depth of the constituency trees can vary a lot. So that means the decoding steps that's required by TreeDeck will be very different, although the sentence length might be similar. So that might be one of the reasons why syntactic information is harder to model in this context. So some final thoughts. Structural bias is useful as we see that all the tree decoders outperform the seek-to-seek baseline. But identifying the right amount of bias is really hard. So it's necessary to distinguish the gain from syntactic information or modified model architecture. And here is our code, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for a nice talk. And please, if you have a question or comment, please use the microphone over there, or I'll pass it around. Okay, so I think you said something about you have binary tree and
Right.
the two way to construct. I think I missed something. And how did it mix together? Do you use both of them?
Yeah, so since we can easily use an algorithm just to construct, so for one sentence, we can have two trees and then concatenate together so we have twice the amount of data, basically. Yeah.
I'm curious for your take on a question I've been thinking about a lot as well that's very related to this.
Sure.
Which is sort of, to what extent does it really seem like this tree structure information is not a useful bias in the decoder? The decoder is sort of already doing everything it needs in this area. Or to what extent do you think it's worth just exploring further architectures that might do a better job of using that information?
I think it's definitely a puzzling question. So I guess it's just, I guess my work here is just showing that maybe, it's sometimes when we do adding syntactic informations into MT, we seem like we get some gains, but maybe it's kind of harder to know where the gain is from. So I guess it's an open question where we should go next. But I definitely think it's worthwhile to think about what's the best way to use syntactic information, or even identifying the right amount of syntactic information that's useful, because it seems like some of too much information might be puzzling for the neural models.
Thanks for showing this. Cool.
Thanks.
Okay. Take it offline.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our speaker again.
Thank you.